St David, the greatest figure in the Welsh Age of Saints. The founder of scores of religious communities and the only native-born patron saint of the countries of Britain and Ireland. Who was St David, or Dewi Sant in Welsh? Actually, not too much is known about St David except from a biography written around 1090 by Rhygyfarch, son of the Bishop of St Davids. There are loads of legends about St David. Some are a bit fantastical, and very few people these days would believe these stories as history, but they give a flavour of how respected he was by the Welsh people, and indeed by all of the Britons. St David was a leading figure and monk in the early Welsh Church who lived in this area in the 6th century. He founded a monastic community, living a simple, austere life in the Celtic monastic tradition which connected the people of Wales with Ireland, Cornwall, France, and the Scottish Isles. St David was born in the year 520 AD. Both his parents were descended from Welsh royalty. He was the grandson of Rhygyfarch, king of Cardiganshire. In medieval times it was believed that St David was the nephew of King Arthur. He was the son of Sanday, prince of Powys, and Non, daughter of a chieftain of Minevia, now the little cathedral town of St David's. According to legend, his mother St Non gave birth to him on a cliff top near Cape Non, Nonce Chapel, on the southwest Wales coast during a fierce storm. The site of David's birth is marked by the ruins of a tiny ancient chapel close to a holy well, and the more recent 18th century chapel dedicated to his mother, Non, can still be seen near St David's Cathedral. The young David grew up to be a priest, being educated at the Monastery of Llandewi under the tutelage of St Paulinus. According to legend, David performed several miracles during his life, including restoring Paulina's sight. It is also said that during a battle against the Saxons, David advised his soldiers to wear leeks in their hats so that they could easily be distinguished from their enemies, which is why the leek is one of the emblems of Wales. Monastery life was very strict. St David and his monks followed a simple, austere life. They ploughed the fields by hand, rather than using oxen, and refrained from eating meat or drinking beer. St David was a vegetarian, who ate only bread, herbs, and vegetables, and who drank only water. David became known as Aquaticus or Dewi Dyfrwr, the water drinker, in Welsh. Sometimes, as a self-imposed penance, he would stand up to his neck in a lake of cold water, reciting scripture. It is also said that milestones during his life were marked by the appearance of springs of water. Becoming a missionary, David travelled throughout Wales and Britain and even made a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, from which he brought back a stone that now sits in an altar at St David's Cathedral, built on the site of his original monastery. He founded 12 monasteries, including Glastonbury and one at Minevia, St David's, which he made his bishop seat. He was named Archbishop of Wales at the Synod of Brevi, Llanddewi Brefi, Cardiganshire in 550. St David was very popular, perhaps because he had the gift of working miracles. For instance, when his neighbour's land was drying up, he stuck his staff into the earth and a spring sprung out of the ground. There are many stories of St David's miracles. They include bringing a dead boy back to life by splashing the child's face with tears, and restoring a blind man's sight. A local ruler became very jealous of his popularity, and his wife told him to send slaves with sticks to beat David and his monks, but as they came to attack the monks, their arms lost all their strength, and all they could do was to hurl filthy insults at them. When they returned home, they found that all their cattle had died. They returned to the monks and asked for forgiveness. This time when they went back, all their cattle had come back to life. Another time, some of St David's monks turned against him and decided to poison his food, but a friend of his in Ireland foresaw this in a dream, and he sent St Scuthyn to warn him. There were no ships ready to carry Scuthyn across the Irish Sea to Wales, but he waded into the water and a sea monster picked him up on his back and carried him across. When he arrived, he warned St David that his cook had put some deadly poison into his bread. At dinner time, St David broke the bread into 3 pieces. He gave one piece to a dog, and another to a crow, both immediately died. Then he blessed the third piece, which he ate himself. Everyone watching thought that he would surely die too, but he was perfectly all right. The most famous miracle associated with St. David took place when he was preaching to a large crowd in Llanddewi Brefi. When people at the back complained that they could not hear him, the ground on which he stood rose up to form a hill, and a white dove, sent by God, settled on his shoulder, which is why St. David is often pictured speaking with a dove on his shoulder. St. David died on the 1st of March in 589. He was buried at the site of St. David's Cathedral. His body and belongings would have been kept as relics and placed in a special container known as a reliquary. They become powerful symbols in Welsh tradition. After his death, his influence spread far and wide, first through Britain and then by sea to Cornwall and Brittany. In 1120, Pope Aquaticus II canonized David as a saint. Following this, he was declared patron saint of Wales. For many centuries, St. David's was an important centre for pilgrims and travellers, the city being used as a crossing point between England, Wales, and Ireland. In fact, 2 pilgrimages to St. David's used to be considered equal to ones to Rome itself. St. David's Day is celebrated every year on March 1st. It's a day full of children wearing black chimney hats and shawls. Young girls are encouraged to wear national costumes, parades of leeks or daffodils, as it is believed that the daffodil became a popular alternative to the leek after St. David's Day became a national festival during the 18th century. Flags of St. David, which features a yellow cross on a black background, and herds of red dragons on flags. All in celebration of the patron saint of Wales, St. David. The celebrations usually involve the singing of traditional songs followed by a tea bark, a tea with barrabrith, famous Welsh fruited bread, and tyson bark, Welsh cake. Follow us for more videos like this or visit our website www.celiacaie.com.